Welcome to Grade 10 History Lesson 2 Ancient Settlements Part 2. So let's get started without any further ado. Where was evidence of the Stone Age discovered in the Habantura district? Evidence of the Stone Age was discovered from the gravel layer below into a Iranawadu formation located in depth of 45 feet from the surface level of the earth in an area called Patirajavela in Habantura district. How old is the gravel layer discovered in Patirajavela according to scientific analysis? The gravel layer discovered in Patirajavela is 125,000 years old according to scientific analysis. How old is the gravel layer found in Bundala Vellangoda? The gravel layer found in Bundala Vellangoda is 80,000 years old. How long did the Stone Age exist in Sri Lanka? The Stone Age in Sri Lanka existed continuously from before 125,000 years up to 1800 BC minimum. What significant information does the Payangal cave reveal? The Payangal cave reveals significant information about the prehistoric people who lived in the lowland wet zone in Sri Lanka 38,000 years ago. What are the time periods of the other prehistoric sites in Sri Lanka? Kuruvita Batatombalena 28,000 years ago. Kitulgala Bellena 15,000 years ago. Bellan Pendi Palace 12,000 years ago. Attanagoda Alulena 10,350 years ago. Maniamgala 10,900 years ago. Sigiriya Potana 5,800 years ago. Sigiriya Aligala 5,500 years ago. Udamalala 5,330 years ago. Matoda 3,800 years ago. Now let's talk about Pahayangala Cave. Where is the Pahayangala Cave located? The Pahayangala Cave is located in Bulat Sinhala Kaltara district. How old is the habitation of prehistoric men in the Pahayangala Cave? The habitation of the prehistoric men in the Pahayangala Cave dates back to 38,000 years ago. What does the Payangal Cave reveal about prehistoric people? The Payangal Cave reveals significant information about the prehistoric people who lived in the lowland wet zone in Sri Lanka. Now let's talk about stone tools of the Middle Stone Age. What type of stone tools belong to the Middle Stone Age in Sri Lanka? A few stone tools in geometric shapes belong to the Middle Stone Age in Sri Lanka. What material were the Middle Stone Age tools were made of? The Middle Stone Age tools were made of poor alabaster stone known as bimveduru. Now let's talk about key features of prehistoric settlements. How did prehistoric humans in Sri Lanka expand their settlements? Prehistoric humans in Sri Lanka expanded by undergoing adaptation to different environmental conditions. Where did prehistoric humans prefer to live? Prehistoric humans prefer to live in places with abundant natural resources needed for food, such as lowland rainforests, dry zone forests, coastal lagoons and creeks, and hill country grasslands. What factors influence their choice of settlement areas? They preferred areas with easy availability of water and various types of stones for making their stone tools. Where did prehistoric humans live during the dry and rainy seasons? They lived in open areas during the dry and in natural caves during the rainy season. What type of prehistoric humans have been discovered so far? Several prehistoric outdoor camps and cave habitations have been discovered. Now let's talk about prehistoric habitations in Sri Lanka. What are examples of outdoor camps in the coastal areas from prehistoric times? Examples of outdoor camps in coastal areas include Minigal, Kanda, Bundala and Padrajavela. Which lowland wet zone caves were used as prehistoric habitations? The lowland wet zone caves include Payangala, Badatombalina and Kitulgala Belilina. Name the lowland dry zone caves that were prehistoric habitations. The lowland dry zone caves are Potana and Aligala in Srigiriya. There were outdoor camps located in the lowland wet zone. Outdoor camps in the lowland wet zone were located in Bellan Bendi Palace. Now let's talk about prehistoric habitations in Sri Lanka. What are examples of outdoor camps in the coastal areas from prehistoric times? Examples of outdoor camps in coastal areas include Minigalkanda, Bundala and Padrajavela. Which lowland wet zone caves were used as prehistoric habitations? The lowland wet zone caves include Pahayangala, Batatombalena and Kitulgala Belilena. Name the lowland dry zone caves that were prehistoric habitations. The lowland dry zone caves are Potana and Aligala in Sigiriya. There were outdoor camps located in the lowland wet zone. Outdoor camps in the lowland wet zone were located in Bellan Bendi Palace. What are examples of outdoor hunting places in hillside areas from prehistoric times? Examples include Bandaravela and Horton Plains. What are examples of outdoor hunting places in hillside areas from prehistoric times? Examples include Bandaravela and Horton Plains. Below are several prehistoric outdoor camps and cave habitations discovered for her. So now let's talk about them. Minihigalkanda, Bundala, Patrajavela, they belong to outdoor camps in the coastal areas. Pahayangala, Batatombalena, Kitulgala Belilena, they belong to lowland wet zone caves. Potana and Aligala in Sigiriya, they belong to lowland dry zone caves. Bellan Bendi Palace, they belong to outdoor camps in lowland wet zone. Pandaravela, Horton Plains, they belong to outdoor hunting places in hillside areas. Now let's talk about lifestyle of the prehistoric people. How did the people of the Stone Age live? People of this era lived by hunting, roaming from one place to another and gathering what they could consume as food. Where did the people live during heavy rainy seasons? During heavy rainy seasons, they lived in natural caves. What was the population size of groups during the Stone Age? Their population consisted of small groups, typically comparing 15 to 25 members, with a maximum number believed to be around 50. How much area was required for a family of 5 members? An area of 50 square meters was enough for a family of 5 members. What was the area of the Churchill site in Bandaraville and how many people are assumed to have lived there? The Churchill site in Bandaraville was 150 square meters and it assumed that 25 people might have lived there. How large was the Bellanpendi Palace site and what was found there? The Bellanpendi Palace site was 120 square 30 human skeletons were diameters and discovered there. What determined the natural nature of this food consumed by the people in the Stone Age? The nature of the food consumed was decided by resources available in the environment where they lived. Where did people spend their time during the dry season? During the dry season, they spend their time in temporary camps built in open areas. How far did the Stone Age people walk daily in search of food? They walked a distance of about 7 kilometers per day searching for food. Where did Stone Age people bury their dead? As they lived a temporary life in caves, they sometimes buried the dead bodies of their relatives inside the caves. How were burial pits created? Burial pits were dug using a piece of horn or a stick into which the dead body was placed and then covered with garbage. What significant discovery was made in the Belilena cave in Kitulgala? 12 skeletons were discovered in Belilena cave in Kitulgala, buried in pits in this manner. What was found in the graveyard? What was found in the graveyard at Bellan Bendi Palace? In the open area graveyard at Bellan Bendi Palace, 30 skeletons belonging to the Stone Age were discovered. How many skeletons were found belonging to the different ages in the cave in Payangala? 9 skeletons belonging to different ages were discovered. So let's continue. Now let's talk about food habits of the Stone Age people. What type of animals did Stone Age people hunt for food? They hunted buffalo, black bear, wild boar, deer, spotted deer, porcupine, hedgehog, hare, stag, giant squirrel, mongoose, wildfowl, monkey, civet cat, and iguana. Now let's talk about food habits of the Stone Age people. What type of aquatic food did they consume? They consumed freshwater fish which were rich in protein and small fish found in natural water pools in lowland wet zone. What plant based foods were part of their diet? Their diet include wild breadfruit, wild plantains, jams like gondola and katuala, seeds of kitul and kernel of dotalu. What evidence was discovered in the Belilena cave in Kitulgala about their food? Evidence showed that seeds of the wild fruit sorry Evidence showed that seeds of wild breadfruit had been baked and eaten 12,500 years ago. How did they prepare their food? Some food was baked before consumption, as evidenced by finding in a few examined places. Now let's talk about additional food habits of prehistoric people. What type of mollusk did prehistoric people consume? They ate tree snails and lagoon oysters. How did prehistoric people living inland obtain salt? They traveled long distance to coastal areas to collect salt. What evidence suggests that salt was transported inland? Remnants of lagoon oysters found in Kitulgala Belly were identified to be mixed with salt brought from coastal regions. Prehistoric technology in Sri Lanka. What is the primary evidence of the technology from the Stone Age? The primary evidence is the stone tools used by prehistoric people. Why is it difficult to form a complete understanding of the Stone Age technology in Sri Lanka? Due to the lack of sufficient stone tools and the inadequate knowledge of their exact time period. What are geometric microstone tools? They are small stone tools with geometric shapes not exceeding 4.5 centimeter in length, used for various purposes like hunting and cutting. What materials were used to make microstone tools? They were primarily made of quartz and some kahanda stones. What are some other prehistoric tools used apart from microstone tools? Tools like hammers and grinding stones were made using granite. Were used. Now let's talk about physical characteristic of prehistoric people in Sri Lanka. What was the average height of prehistoric males and females? The average height of a grown male was 174 centimeter, while a grown female was about 166 centimeter. What were some distinct physical features of prehistoric people? They had large teeth, a wide nose, and a prominent chin. What was the brain size of prehistoric males and females? The brain size of a grown male was 1600 cubic centimeters, while that of a grown female was 920 cubic centimeters. What was the estimated lifespan of the prehistoric people? Anthropologists estimate that the maximum lifespan of a prehistoric humans was around 35 to 40 years. Now let's talk about rituals of prehistoric people in Sri Lanka. What evidence suggests that prehistoric people had burial rituals? Excavations in Ravana Ella cave near Badulla revealed a human skull that was perforated, polished, and painted with red ochre. Similar findings of human skeletons painted with red ochre were found in Pahayangal cave. How were bodies buried in Batutombalena cave? Skeletons in Batutombalena cave were found curled and buried, indicating a ritualistic burial practice. What connection exists between prehistoric Sri Lankans and the Veda community? Researchers have identified culture and biological similarities between prehistoric Stone Age people and Sri Lankans indigenous Veda community. Okay, now let's talk about prehistoric cemetery in Sri Lanka. Where was a prehistoric cemetery discovered in Sri Lanka? A prehistoric cemetery was discovered in premises of Columba Gera Ranchamadama Government School in the Ratnapura district, Sabargamuwa province. When was this prehistoric cemetery excavated? The excavation took place in 2007. How old is the cemetery? The cemetery was used around 3,350 years ago. Now let's talk about prehistoric human skeletons in Sri Lanka. Where was a prehistoric human skeleton discovered in Sri Lanka? A prehistoric human skeleton was discovered in the Potana cave near Sigiriya. Which institution provided the photograph of this discovery? The photograph was provided by the Postgraduate Institute of Archaeology. Now let's talk about prehistoric artifacts in Sri Lanka. What material was used to make a prehistoric bead found in Sri Lanka? The bead was made from a piece of animal bone. So that's the end of the part 3 of this video. So we have discussed and finished prehistoric settlements. So in the part 4 of this video we will be discussing protohistoric era and early historic era. So stay tuned and subscribe us. Thank you. Thanks for watching.